You'd be the sex with a goat guy.
Come here, little goat. Turn around.
Why do you have to talk to it?
Well, I mean,
that makes it weird.
It's the Musers, the podcast, in episode 32. Are goats inherently into hypotheticals?
Hello there, and welcome to the Musers, the podcast. Three friends who have we grew up in the same womb, and then we went on to go to school together all the way through elementary and middle school and high school. Then we went to college together, and then we started a radio show together. Then we did a podcast together. You are in for a treat. I'm Gordon Keith.
I'm George Dunham.
I'm Craig Miller.
And this is episode 32. And this is a very special episode because we received word recently that we are now over 1 million downloads. Can you believe that?
Wow.
In 3 weeks.
Not 3 weeks, but we did only start this back in June of 2025. So I don't know how it all works. That feels like a pretty quick trip to 1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it.
I'm very happy with it. Yeah, it's great.
Heck, I remember being happy when we reached 1,000. So it's fine with me. I'll take the million. So thank you to you, dear listener. The person who's listening to us right now has helped contribute to that.
That's right.
That's
and
amazing.
Spread the word about the Musers, the
word.
podcast.
Yep.
Yes, and go back and listen to all the old ones that you missed, if you missed any. Check them out, because we've had a lot of fun talking about a lot of different topics, a lot of very important topics. And last week's was probably one of the most important topics, because outside of life, death is the most important topic, because death is what gives life its meaning. Well, we had a lot of response on that episode and a lot of potential letters of the week. And before I get to that letter of the week, I want to give a special award to the most annoying piece of email that I got this past week.
Okay.
It's unrelated to that last episode, but you'll see why this was annoying. It comes to us from a listener named Justin. He says that he was reading his devotional. He gets like a little online devotional each morning. And in it, the pastor detailed the story about Mark Cuban's attempt at paying a radio host to change his name to Dallas Maverick. And he sent a copy that went out to this whole congregation is reading about this story of Mark Cuban doing this. Now, for those who are listening to the podcast who aren't aware, I was that guy. I was the radio host that Mark Cuban offered. I think it was $250,000. It was either $125,000 or $250,000.
Yeah.
I think it was $125,000. Half of it would go to me, and then half of it would go to a charity of my choosing if I would change my name for 1 year officially, legally, to Dallas Maverick. So that meant every time that I was mentioned on the radio, I would go by Dallas Maverick, and if I happen to have a child during that time, the father's name would be listed as Dallas Maverick.
I thought at the time you were crazy for turning it down. Looking back at it, I think you made the right call.
Really?
Yeah, just knowing you even better now than I did then, the paperwork itself would have driven you insane.
Having to change my name with every...
Would you have followed through with all the paperwork?
No, probably not, because I don't think that, like, you're paying bills and stuff. You don't have to call up the utility company and change it. They just want a check each month. And if it's already in one name, that's fine.
Okay.
But the paperwork for changing the name, I didn't even investigate how long that took to actually change a name. I'm assuming it wouldn't have been that difficult. But, that was in a time in my life where, if it was $62,500, that was a lot.
It was life-changing.
Definitely more than I was making a year, probably more than I was making every 2 or 3 years at that point. And I turned it down. It was one of the only things that my dad ever approached me on and had a strong opinion of something I've done on the air. And my dad was a Baptist minister, and I do a lot of racy stuff on the air, and he never said anything negative about anything I'd ever done. And then when that came up, I remember going over to my parents' house and him going, son, I want to talk to you about this name thing. the name is sacred and you shouldn't. And he like had this really strong reaction to it.
I remember you saying that a name is important, but I didn't know your dad offered that to you.
It was the strangest thing.
I remember that story.
Yeah.
I remember you telling that it was kind of your dad that made the
Okay.
decision for you.
And my dad never quoted scripture to me ever. He was not that kind of pastor. He was much more live and let live. You know, you'll find the Lord in your own way. Whatever version of the Lord you find, that's great.
Plus, you flooded the zone so much, he would have had to roll out a lot of scripture.
He had to choose his battles. But I remember he did come up with there was some scripture about name, about the name being important.
Huh.
And anyway, he was talking on a philosophical level I didn't even understand at the time. But I just remember having something about it didn't feel right to me either.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never ended up changing my name. And to this day, I still have the check from Mark Cuban that was post-dated for 1 year later than when he offered that to me, that if my name was, Dallas Maverick, it said I must present 2 forms of legal ID to cash this check. And it was for whatever the amount was, $62,500 or $125, whichever one it was. I can't remember now.
That's pretty cool.
It's a bookmark in one of my books in my library, and I can't find which book right now. I found it a few years ago, but
Do you think we could change it to Musers, the podcast, and put that thing
boy,
in
that would be
account?
great. Yeah. But the letter from the P1 continues in the daily devotional from the pastor. It reads like this: the owner of the NBA's Dallas Mavericks offered a Chicago sports talk host
Chicago.
$100,000 to legally change his name to Dallas Maverick. In addition, he said that he would donate $100,000 to the man's favorite charity. After some soul searching, the radio host held firm and told the owner no. He explained, "I'd be saying I'd do anything for money, and that bothers me. My name is my birthright. I'd like to preserve my integrity and credibility." And then it goes on with a little Bible lesson. Okay, so the details are not right here.
So you cheated a charity out of $100,000?
Well, I think that will also lead into today's conversation, which is doing the wrong thing for something that could cause a lot of good.
Right.
And we're going to be wading into ethics a little bit today. And matter of fact, we're going to do that. I'm going to skip this other letter. There were some other great letters about death and about what to do after you die. And one of them, just a broad stroke from Jost, talked about how he wants to be cremated like we determined on that last episode. But he says that he thinks that may be a moral wrong.
Okay.
Because really and truly, since you've spent your whole time on this earth consuming the dead bodies of plants and animals, and this earth has nourished you, out of our vanity, we don't want to feed the earth again because it's just cleaner to be cremated. When truthfully, we shouldn't be embalmed. We should be put in the ground in a pine box or whatever that would decompose.
Cardboard.
And yes, and then feed the earth once again.
That's an interesting take. I'd never thought of it that way. But yeah, we get mad at people that put certain things in a landfill instead of just nourishing the earth and from dust to dust.
Yeah, dust to dust, and we've been fed from the earth, and now it's our time to feed the earth.
Interesting theory.
So, yeah, it is.
We shouldn't be thrown in a landfill, though, should we?
Well, no, we shouldn't be thrown in a landfill.
Maybe we should just be
Shallow
buried
creek.
with no coffin, not even a cardboard coffin. Just put in the earth and let the worms get after
I
us.
wonder if you can do that. I don't think you can do that.
Probably not, but we'd have to change the law.
But I think that even if you were buried in just a wooden box, the
They'll
wooden
get
box
in,
also
yeah.
decomposes too. It's organic material as well. And there are certain religious traditions that's what you do. There's no embalming. You're buried within 3 days.
Yep.
And you go into the earth and you return to the earth.
Yeah,
The way we were
religions-
designed to do.
Certain religions won't allow cremation.
Mm-hmm.
How about they dig the hole,
Yeah.
and then it could kind of lift the spirits of everyone. You have a small catapult, and people get to try to launch your body into the hole. And maybe they win a prize if they're the ones who aim it just right and
Wait.
calibrate it just
so
right
you've
to where
got-
your body lands in the hole that's been dug.
But you've got to reload the catapult after each
Yeah, if
errant
someone misses,
launch.
then someone has to carry you back over. And Aunt Susie, you give it a try.
That's going to be really disturbing.
Is there a 3-point line?
As your eyeballs are hanging out by their optic nerves.
Maybe you can shoot from way downtown.
Yeah.
Like a half-court heave. Do basketball court paintings around the cemetery just to make it fun. I'm trying to make it fun.
There's a lot of people who are suffering right now.
All right, I'm sorry, bad idea.
And yes, and we commented on planning, how much planning should you do, pre-planning and everything. And P1 shared a nice letter about how his mom had written letters to all of her kids and was addressing them, saying, I know this must be a difficult time. Here are some ideas. And he said it was great because it took that weight off of them of making these decisions that they could be arguing about, because the mother had expressed, hey, this is what I would like. If you guys want to change it, you can, but otherwise, all things being equal, this is what I'd prefer.
That's nice.
Yeah. And he said it was like a final gift that she gave them by
I'm going to start writing some letters
giving them
later today.
Guidance. Oh, I've already written my 2 letters to you guys for after I die. And I mean, it goes on there's a lot of ranting in that.
Oh, man.
I mean, I'm settling a lot of scores.
And another thing.
Have you ever known someone that's happened to? Like they found a rant from someone? I've seen a few of those obituaries published in the paper where the family was no fan of the person that died.
Yeah.
I've seen those.
He was a miserable son of a bitch in life and good riddance.
Right.
And they take the time to pay for this to be published.
They want to set the record straight, I guess.
They're getting a few more shots in his ass before he's buried. Anyway, that's crazy. We had a discussion on our radio program in Dallas-Fort Worth recently, and it sparked this idea, and we said we've got to talk about this long form on the podcast. And it was a story about how they've studied people who are facing a terminal diagnosis, cancer, something like that, and how many of those people began to commit crimes. This is the Walter White Breaking Bad scenario, where in that show he gets the terminal cancer diagnosis and he decides he's going to start selling meth and builds a meth empire to make millions and millions of dollars. Well, he does it in the show for financial reasons, for his family, ostensibly. You know, he wants to take care of his family after he's gone. But the research showed that if you omit the financial crimes, I think the financial crimes, it was that overall crime goes up 14% after a terminal diagnosis. And if you omit the financial crimes, it goes up 38%. So it's not the financial incentive of why people are doing bad things. So it sparked the conversation among us. Are humans basically inherently sorry? And once you remove the veneer of polite society, we will go feral and start acting in incredibly selfish and what some would call evil ways? Or are we like Anne Frank once said, that she said, in spite of everything, I still believe that people are inherently good. I'm paraphrasing because I don't speak whatever she spoke Dutch.
I'd like to think, as we said on our show, that most of us are good. You can make an argument for the other side really easily, but just to have a decent state of mind about day to day, I have to feel that way. And I think when you say it, people go, okay, well, I guess he really doesn't understand the world that we live in. Because what do we hear about? We hear about the bad, whether it's if you're reading something online or you're watching the news, you hear about the negative side, the bad side, because we're told good stories don't sell really anyway. So I think it stands out if you say, no, I think most that we are good. But I guess if you're trying to be accurate, we're all probably a mixture, and there's good and bad in everyone. And maybe I should rephrase it that I think the good comes to the surface more than the bad. How about that?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
not 100% everybody all the time, but
but we're talking about overall. You think that good mostly wins out.
Yes, I'd like to think that.
Yeah.
That could be Pollyanna, it could be ridiculous, but that's the way I operate. I guess I'm an optimistic person. But
I think it is Pollyanna, and I think it is ridiculous, and I think it is preferable to believe that way. Because I'm with you. It's probably a little bit more pessimistic and negative on it. I don't think people are inherently good. I think that good is that's breakthrough cases of our goodness. I think that we are good only to the extent of our choices and our options overall.
Yeah.
But I want to think we're good. I don't think we're actually good. I think we're selfish creatures. And even as I dig into the topic, it's like good and bad is also a highly subjective thing.
Yes.
And what's good in one culture is
Absolutely.
the absolute worst thing in another culture. And so it doesn't even make any sense to talk about good and bad in that sense. But think about how human beings work, Giorgio. We here up at work, we have something called the Cumulus Cafe. And they switched to a system in which you could just take whatever, and then it's up the honor system of you check out and you pay for it. How much do you think gets stolen in there?
I don't think very much.
Okay. That's probably true.
I thought we got confirmation on that because it seems like if one thing goes missing, we have a lockdown around here.
I think in the
don't know that.
beginning, a lot got stolen, and then they have that camera in there,
And that's what I wanted to get to.
Oh,
That's the issue.
and then it stopped.
And they've done psychological experiments that show that if there is a camera in front of the set up free bowl of, or the bowl of candy that you're only supposed to take two or whatever it is, if there is the implied watcher, that greatly affects the morality of the person.
Right.
So morality is not some absolute inherent compass that we all have. It's a calculation we all make.
Yeah.
And most of the time when we do good things, and this is going to be real defeating, but it's out of self-interest. You do something good for someone because it also gives you a certain charge of feeling good about yourself, and it is a kind of a response to this idea of acting good in the collective also benefits you, right? Because you want to live in a society in which people do good things, and therefore you do good things because of your own self-interest ultimately.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you shouldn't do the good things, but that is probably the underlying motivation.
I think I came to the conclusion, because initially when this came up on our radio show, I thought we are inherently good, but prone to doing bad things. But the more I thought about it, knowing we were going to do this for a podcast topic, I think I've settled on we are inherently neutral. And whatever our environment is, or our surroundings, or our laws, or our peer pressure, or our groupthink, we are pushed to doing good or bad things. But I think we're basically a neutral species, other than when it comes to survival. Going way, way back, before we could do much reasoning or had social structure, I think we were probably more bad than good when it just came to survival, and you will kill that thing that's trying to get that piece of food or that's threatening you. And a lot of that still exists today, by the way. But I think once we evolved to somewhat sentient creatures, I think we just kind of have a natural neutral state. And it depends on what kind of environment you get in. I think you can fall into an environment where it promotes more good, and I think you can fall into an environment where it promotes more bad. I do lean towards that neutrality, shifting a little towards bad more than it does good. And it's only our laws or our peer pressure or our groupthink that gets us to come back to the good side, because what do we always say? Human beings are shortcutters. We shortcut everything. There are obviously examples of outliers who will always take the path more traveled, but we really try to, and especially when people aren't looking, we try to take the easy path.
Hell yeah.
And that's not inherently good. That's more inherently sorry.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times the easy path is hurting somebody else.
Yeah, and the whole good bad thing, I think you're exactly right on, Gordo, is that.
Thank you.
And we've done that in our radio show through the years. Oh, yeah, he's a bad guy. You know, whoever it is, a public figure who's done certain things. But I bet he's done a lot of good things too. And then we find out maybe he has done good things or she has done good things. Wow, they really are a mixed bag. And it's so.
We don't like mixed bags.
We don't like
mixed bags. Declaring someone, man, just a great guy.
But that's
just
what we all are. We're mixtures. I mean,
yes.
What kind of guy am I? I don't know. It depends on who you ask.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask my family and my closest friends, I would like to think to say, yeah, he's a great guy. There are people walking this earth who think I'm the worst, I'm sure.
All of us have that.
And all
one
of us
sitting in this room right now.
Probably so. And as I take inventory of my own life, I'm thinking, oh, gee, wow, if I do have to go before some sort of judgment, it may be pretty close.
Yeah, maybe a coin toss there.
Maybe a coin toss. I don't know if you go by the letter of the law. So, yeah, I think we just get way too caught up in good person, bad person, good person. And until we start seeing the good in someone who feels differently than us or maybe does something that we just can't square, and I'm not talking about murder, I'm just talking about in everyday life, maybe that's the thing is what I'm confusing with it is I try to see the good in people. And if you operate like that, maybe you're naive and you're going to get a 2x4 right upside the head because you're not pessimistic enough. I don't know.
So you're going to try to find the good in Hitler or Epstein? Or...
Well, like I said, murderers and, those who, assault people. Yeah.
I think Norm Macdonald had a whole bit about how Hitler's dog thought he was pretty good.
See, depends on who you ask.
He's been nice to me. I mean,
feeds me every day.
Yeah. I guess it's a matter of perspective or something. I don't know.
Something we've had for a long time that would indicate that we are inherently bad is the long-time need for laws, religion, police, governments, whatever it happens to be, that tries to put guardrails on us because if not, well, we're going to go rob this person. We're going to do, not all of us, but a lot of people will do that. I think a lot of religions were put in place, were created in order to scare you into doing good.
Yeah, impose a little order on this and make sure that that people are. We want to incentivize doing good and disincentivize doing bad.
Yeah, we have a vengeful God who, if you do bad, he's going to strike you dead, and you're going to live in hell for all of eternity. And you have to put that in place because in society at the time when these various religions are created, you have so many people that are doing so many bad things. Well, how are we going to control this? We'll scare the hell out of them. We'll scare them straight. Like, the program we had when we were kids and convicts would come to the school when you're in 6th grade and talk to you about, hey, don't turn to a life of crime because this is how bad prison is.
Yeah, that didn't work on me. I always thought, man, that's pretty cool. You get to go to schools and talk to people.
Well, it didn't work on me. I was so scared to death of any sort of illegal drug. That totally, because I just my simple brain thought if I give 1 inch to that, I'm going to wind up in prison.
Yes.
That's how I squared it away in, I think, 9th grade when we did that.
But prison looks kick-ass when you get all those tattoos and stuff.
No, it doesn't either.
Yeah, I got really scared. I was talking with someone recently about the idea of drugs and that the 80s had all those be scared of drugs things, and somehow that worked on me. Mm-hmm. How did that work on me? None of their propaganda would work on me. Yet that did because I thought that, you do one drug and the next thing you're jumping off the school building thinking you can fly. Yeah. I thought that was everything.
That was the other part. You're going to die or you're going to go to prison. Those were the two choices you had.
So when it comes to doing good, and we don't really have an innate moral compass. I know religious people like to think that we have our sense of right and wrong from God, but doesn't a lot of that come from just practicality? It comes from the idea of what is good for the group, and it's good to not kill each other because you don't want to be killed. And if we go around killing each other, then we're not going to have much of a successful group. And that is what made humans the most dominant species on the planet. It wasn't even our intelligence. It was our cooperation. Mm. And you see the power of cooperation and just the fact that driving up here today, I'm looking around going, we did all this because we cooperated with each other. I'm driving on a highway right now with these high-rise buildings on either side of me because human beings cooperate. And we all do things for like this common good, towards a common goal. By the same token, the worst things in humanity have been done because of human cooperation too.
Mm-hmm.
The Nazis, any sort of regime that has a nation. And when you look at those people that were doing bad things, they all thought they were doing good things. They perverted their own sense of justice or what was good into, well, it's important to get rid of people who are not like us because we love us so much. It was like a sense of family. There's others, and then there's you.
Yeah.
But you wrap things up in a principle of, well, think about our own grandfathers, or in your case, George, your father, goes to war for noble reasons. We want to believe in our noble cause. But yet my grandfather is having to gun down a guy outside a German farm who's just sitting there. He's a scared 19-year-old just like he is.
Right.
That was told noble cause in his end. You defend your country when there's invaders coming in here. And who knows if he believed any of the ideology that was behind the madman at the top of the pyramid.
That's why they came back. So, we talk about soldiers from Vietnam, but man, there's a lot of soldiers who came back from World War II, and they were never the same.
Yeah,
they were
just completely
celebrated
shattered
as heroes, but they had to do that very thing you were talking about and went through some terrible things that stayed with them and haunted them for the rest of their lives. But yeah, for the noble cause, they were willing to do it.
But not all causes are noble. They may have been fighting for what they thought was a noble cause, but the rest of the world thought that wasn't a noble cause.
That's the point, is that your noble cause that you've wrapped it up in may not be so noble.
So it's
including our
evil.
sides on wars.
Right.
We always think, America's always right and everything, but yet what we always do is we just change the definition of good long enough to do bad things.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many times have people did I tell that story about my mom in the grocery store recently?
You did on the show, on
Okay.
the
You
radio
done it on
show,
the
but not here.
podcast, yeah.
Anyway, it was this story that was told to me recently about my mother, about how remembered my mother going to the grocery store because she noticed that she wasn't charged for one of the items that was in her. They forgot to ring up one of the items, and my mom drove back up to the grocery store to go pay for the item. Wow. And the person who told me the story was like, I would have never thought of that. Those things were celebrated as victories in my home when you got something for free.
Sure.
Now, that was my mom. I've done it several times where I've thought of her example and then gone back and made good on something. But there's been just as many times where I'm like, I'm tired. And you know what? It was that person's job to ring me up. And that corporation has so much money already,
Right.
And you just find yourself doing what every moral agent on this earth has done, which is you find the loopholes and excuses to why you are not morally responsible for doing this, or even if what you did was bad, it wasn't that bad.
Right. But we have no problem driving back up to that grocery store and saying, you charged me.
You charged me for
You
something.
did not give me full
yeah.
coupon credit for this.
Right.
It's supposed to be buy 3, get 1 free.
And when I listen to the absolute bullshit that human beings put out and claim that these are their reasons for doing something rather than their rationalizations from what they did, we just backfill reasons as if we're moral creatures, when most of the time I think most people act on their gut and then come up with reasons later.
No doubt.
Yes.
On that front, I'm a lot like I am with officiating in the NBA. I think it all evens out. If I get home and I realize I was overcharged $10, I probably don't go back because I know at some point I was undercharged $10.
Yeah, the old it all evens out.
I'm an it all evens out guy, and so there have been several times where I've seen that I've been overcharged or I've been undercharged, and I play the even out game. It's a lot easier. You don't have to get back in the car.
Which yes, once
you avoid
again,
the tension of talking to the store manager.
Right. You come up with something that justifies what you want to do anyway.
Yes.
Which is nothing.
Right.
Hey, I've said it before. I think we should, and I'm sure some school districts do this, but it ought to be a part of curriculum of
Teaching ethics.
Ethics.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I always think it's something maybe in college you take, and it's an elective. But why couldn't that be a requirement Wouldn't that be a good thing just for critical thinking of, yeah, maybe there's not always a clear answer of what is the right thing and the wrong thing. And just to get that discussion going and getting kids to think about it, wow, there are ramifications for things I'm doing after school, and just to get them to think about it and how they treat other people. And maybe that's where it would become the most valuable of how we treat people and what's the right way to treat someone.
All right, so moral situation, the famous Sophie's Choice. What do you make there?
Man, I hate
Sophie's
that one.
standing on the train platform. The Nazis come up and say, hey, you got these two young kids here. You look kind of Aryan, even though you're not. So we're going to give a little mercy to you, and you can choose which one of your kids you want to live.
And one was a boy, one was a girl.
One was
right?
a boy, one was a girl. Right.
I think I would have made, and I think she made the same decision. I would have made the most practical, because you're never going to win the who do you love more, you love your kids equally and all of that. You probably at that point in the 1940s are thinking a man has a better chance in this world than a woman. I think the boy was older. He's lived more of his life. He's got more of a head start. I probably would have said take the girl.
And that's what Sophie did.
Yeah.
But she had to choose.
I know, and it's just impossible. And I used to tell you that, don't make a father of three play that hypothetical. You can't do it. I couldn't do it. And I think my answer back then, and I don't know if this is what I would do, is, well, I don't trust what they're saying anyway. Let's try to take one of them out we're all three probably going to die. I'm not going to let you make that choice for me.
So you would rather...
Because I'm really not letting them make any sort of choice.
So you would rather all three of you die?
No, my scenario is I can take that dude and somehow we get away. And we let
you
other
know
people
what?
out.
You're changing
and
it.
we all get away.
You're changing it.
You know what? There is a win if you say all three of us die, because then there's not a survivor or two living with that guilt.
Right.
And you may, like I've heard that, a family of four dies in a plane crash. And I've heard, and I've even thought this, well, at least they all died together. And the kid didn't survive and has to live with the tragedy of losing his parents and sibling for the rest of his life.
But then that would justify a family annihilator who was going to kill his wife and then himself, but he doesn't want to leave these two children orphans, so then he takes them out,
right.
and we call him an extra monster.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I know.
One's accidental, one's a choice.
Yeah.
You know what else I thought when thinking about this topic? Are we inherently good or evil? If we are inherently evil, which a lot of people believe, or inherently bad, maybe there's even a difference between bad and evil. Evil sounds worse. But if we all are inherently bad, one thing that I think is difficult for people to come to that conclusion is, like, I thought of my mother. My mother was inherently bad. She was a nun. The only really bad thing I ever saw her do was sneaking a cigarette on the side, or my wife, who I think is the sweetest, kindest person in the world. And she's just such a good person. Or I look at my daughter, who's 4, and there's nothing but joy and laughter, occasional tantrum, where I guess I would say she's bad. But it's hard for us to come to the conclusion that people are inherently bad, because you're including all the people that you love. And isn't that hard to say that your mom was bad?
Absolutely.
But if we had the mind reader machine, this hypothetical, if you could read everyone's mind for a day, and you could also have access to the worst thing they've ever done in their life, how many of the people that you say are good in your life, if you're looking at their worst deed and their worst thoughts of that day or that week, would
Mom!
you still...
You were thinking that about Burt Reynolds?
Yeah.
It would affect what you think of someone.
Sure. Yeah, it would. But again, now you get back to, okay, what wins out? I think those thoughts, that's one thing, but you don't act on them. You may have that thought, but you don't make it part of reality.
But Jesus said, if you commit lust in your heart, adultery in your mind.
But maybe it's not just thoughts. Maybe it's their worst act. And I think that could actually be really interesting. You still wouldn't want to see it. You don't want to see your mom or dad's worst act. But what if you did, and your mom's worst act was stealing one piece of bubble gum as a kid. And then
you'd be so happy.
You'd feel so great.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
and then your dad
sweated out over dad.
Dad, you did that with Burt Reynolds?
So I think there are degrees of, if we are all inherently good or bad, there are degrees of the bad things that people have done. Not everybody's worst thing is god awful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some people's worst thing is probably not all that bad.
I bet you most people's would shock you. Like, I think you'd be surprised at how bad even the good people have done something that was really, really bad.
Yeah, probably.
But they reasoned in their mind because of a series of events. Well, okay,
Well,
fine.
I mean,
I'll just do this then. And it's a terrible thing.
Right.
But there were 15 events that led up to that
that justified it in their mind.
In their mind, okay, this is a reasonable act.
And was somewhat exculpatory to them.
Yeah.
Exculpatory. And, that's also like the trolley problem, the classic, ethical scenario of the trolley problem, the trolley coming towards you, towards the track that has your loved one tied up there, whoever you love most in the world, or you have the switch where you can divert the trolley over to this other area where 6 people are standing there and can't see the trolley and it's going to kill them. So who do you choose then?
And do
you save the 6 people or do you save the one person that you love?
Most people would save the one person.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's probably not the right decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Certainly not if you're a utilitarian, which is like, you save the most people. You do the most good for the most people.
Right.
Yeah, those are really hard, man. I don't know. Let's go back to the whole good and bad thing.
And I love those scenarios.
I know,
but there are people that
nuts.
George, you're one of them. You don't like sitting around thinking about things that are impossible to answer.
No, I don't.
It's just self-torture to consider those things.
I always think about the practicality of it, and also you probably always think about it from a selfish standpoint, but I would save the person I love because I would know selfishly the rest of my life I would be in an awful mental state knowing that I sacrificed the person I love for 6 strangers.
You won't be in a bad state, though, knowing that as you watch that trolley plow over 6 people and their children are standing on the side of the tracks. Mom!
Yeah.
Mom!
It would be a bad state, but a less bad state than knowing I sent a loved one to death.
Yeah.
They'd both be bad, but I always look at it from a practical standpoint of how it's going to impact my life or our lives going forward. And that goes back to being selfish, which goes back to indicating I'm probably more inherently bad than good.
You couldn't just flip a coin and go to lunch. You can't. That's not
an George.
option.
That's not in the hypothetical.
You got to answer these.
Speaking of your inherent morality and whether or not we actually have it that's inherent or whether it's just merely a product of the eyes that are watching us and a product of our society, what about the hypothetical of would you rather commit a crime and no one knows that you did it, but it's a horrible act, and afterwards you lead a kick-ass life, you have $1 billion that you can do a lot of good with, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of good with. And you have a loving family, and everyone just thinks that you're the pillar of society and you're celebrated. Or you cannot do the crime, but everyone thinks you did, and you live a life of absolute suffering. You're in prison. Your family turned away from you. They won't talk to you anymore. Everyone thinks that you are the love child of Epstein and Hitler.
But that's the morally right decision.
Correct.
You take the grief
in
exchange for doing the right thing.
You self-sacrifice in order to not, I don't know, kill the hobo or whatever is in this hypothetical that you had to do that's wrong that gets you all these riches.
And again, showing that we are probably inherently bad, I'll take the former. I'll live the kick-ass life.
Did you say billion?
Yeah, billion with 2 L's.
Really kick-ass life?
Mm-hmm. Which do you choose, George?
Well, I think you would like to think that you would say, I'll live the,
but which
the
do you
world
choose?
of suffering.
But which do you choose?
But when you brought up billion and doing good things with that billion, hey, I'm going to make up for.
Yeah.
But the deed that you commit is is something like
Is
murder.
something really bad, yes.
Nah, yeah.
And you have to strangle them and look into their eyes.
Yeah, look
as
into
you're
their eyes and
strangling
gently
take the
kiss
life-
them as the life goes out of them.
I would take the life of misery. I would take the life of misery.
There's no way you would.
That's
With
what I'm living.
everybody-
That's what I'm
everybody-
living
and
now.
butt
So
sauce.
absolutely,
with
yeah,
everyone
be the-
thinking you did that.
Yes, that's the right thing to do. Than
No,
live with
whatever. I thought that this was a space of honesty.
I'm trying to be honest, and I think that would be better than okay. Well, at least I won't have to choke out that kid or whatever I had to do. Whatever you had,
Wow,
whatever you had me
let's at
doing.
least-
You said it was bad. I don't know what it was.
Let's at least make it an adult.
Okay,
You wanted
either
to
way.
make it a kid for some
Either
reason.
way. Well, you said it was terrible. I'm just coming up with we're in a safe space.
Gosh, I love that hypothetical. I like the other version of it, which is you have to, what is it? You'll help me with this, Craig. It was you have to make love to one of your parents and no one knows about it, or you don't do it and everyone thinks you
Yeah.
did it for the rest of your life. And that's the big public thing about you.
This came up on our White Elephant show on our radio
I'm
station.
so confused as to what you're talking
It's
about.
a day where all the hosts mix and match on our radio
What?
station. And
I'm just a podcast guy.
we had a segment on hypotheticals, and this came up, and it's along those lines. Would you rather have sex with a goat and nobody knows about it? Or would you rather everyone in the world thinks you had sex with a goat, but you really didn't? And I chose the latter because I figured I would just embrace it and monetize it.
You'd be the sex with a goat guy.
I'd be the sex with a goat guy. I'd have my own private plane, and people would want. I'd be
I
on.
don't know that you would have your own private
I'd be on
plane
all
as a
the talk
result.
shows.
You'd
I'd
say
write
it
a
on the
book.
side of the plane. You have custom graphics.
I'd be goat guy because that would mean that I didn't actually have to do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I could say, "Come here, little goat, turn around."
Well, why do you have to talk to it?
Well, I
That
mean,
makes
you gotta,
it weird.
You got to kind of create a little romantic
Okay, but
environment.
how are you going to explain to your kid? Well, and I'm talking about your child in this case, not
not
the
goat.
goat. Yeah, but you got to have that
Yeah,
conversation
that's right.
with them.
Because you can't tell them the truth. All right, I'd have to be single. I'd have to be single with no kids to do
I'm
it.
just going to be Des Bryant, throw up the X.
No,
on this
you
one.
have
No,
to
you have to
answer.
answer
You have
this.
to
That's another
choose.
thing. You always categorize us as, we all have very much the same sense of humor and all.
Yeah, we do.
I am really not a hypothetical fan. I'm
You-
really not, especially when they
hypotheticals
get
are
to
the
this
greatest thing
I
that,
don't think they
that
are.
Jesus gave us.
I
think
love them.
sports hypotheticals are, but I think real life stuff, goat or no goat, no, I don't want to waste my time
and it's
on that
okay.
one.
That's okay if you don't like them, but you do have to answer
Yeah,
them.
you do. You are
No, I
required
don't.
legally to
No,
answer them
I'm just
under
gonna-
the
no, I'm just gonna
podcast laws of
catch the-
America.
Fair catch it at the 5, and I'll take it from there.
No, you have to choose. So you're choosing the goat. Who knows if the goat hates it? I mean, how
Right.
do you know that?
Who knows that you're going to hate it?
Right.
No, I'm not doing that
You may,
with
you
a
might
goat.
find a new hobby.
I'll do the same thing Craig's doing. I'll be goat influencer guy.
Because you know what? If you
You guys, I don't know that the part of the hypothetical is that you get to be famous for the goat.
We
thing.
are. We're going to be on every
It's-
talk show and
yeah.
embrace it.
He made that up. That's not part of
no,
it.
it's however you're going to handle it. And my plan to handle it would be to embrace it and become a millionaire off of it.
You know what? Our society is dumb enough that probably
so
is
would
possible.
sell
Yes.
now. Yeah.
It
That
will.
You could be, if you embrace the goat guy with no shame. Yeah, you'd be. Yeah, Michael Strahan's interviewing you on
Right.
Yeah.
Good Morning America or wherever the show he's working for.
I'd have 1 million Instagram followers.
Yeah.
Post pictures
Goat
with
guy.
goats all the time.
Goat guy would be the most
And
popular
you
guy
thought
in
the
America.
name thing was a tough decision. How about goat?
I know it. Boy, why didn't I have that? Why didn't Mark Cuban ask me if I wanted to change my name or have sex with a goat?
You know, the tough thing about those hypotheticals is if no matter what side you choose, you get ridiculed by the people asking the hypothetical. Because
Yeah.
if you chose
That's another reason I don't like hypotheticals.
if you chose, well, I'll have sex with the goat and nobody will never know about it, then they have a field day with you having sex with a goat.
Yes.
And see, that's my biggest
Every
problem.
time you talked on the air, it would be a goat sound effect going off
Right.
in the background. And
I don't know if you've kept up with this, Craig, but through the years as we do hypotheticals, you and I answer them.
Yes.
Gordon does not.
No, he
Yes,
never
I do
does.
that.
And that's why he likes this. Oh, this is such
Yeah.
a fun discussion.
Come to
Such a
think
fun
of it,
discussion. Isn't this fun? Because he never says.
We've had 4 here in the last 10 minutes. He hadn't
Not
answered
one.
one of them.
And I've been keeping up with that.
I do
I'm
the
the
heavy
only one.
lifting of authoring them.
Ugh.
That's what it's about.
See,
Okay.
You
So
get to have
no.
the fun. I don't get to have fun. I
Okay.
can do all the work.
Let's ask Sophie's choice. What do you do?
I think in that case, you just switch to a different book.
See there?
See, he's not going to
I
answer.
don't
He
like
never
William
answers
Styron
them.
anyway, so.
But this is the guy who loves hypotheticals,
Right.
but he never
on-
answers
He
them.
only loves asking. He doesn't love thinking about
I'm
it.
on to
or
you, so-called
answering.
Gordon Keith. I'm on to you.
That's my real name. It's my real name.
Dallas Maverick.
Because I
don't
did
know.
not change it. I didn't accept the money for it. And now I look back at that hypothetical that it wasn't even a hypothetical. It was an offer that he gave me. I think I made a mistake. I should have taken the money.
If you would have taken,
Why? It was only a year. I mean, at the
Right.
time, I didn't know the future, so I didn't know whether, am I going to die in a car accident this year and I got to have that on my freaking tombstone?
Right.
yeah, you take that money, invest it 25 years ago, and what's that worth now?
I mean, I would have Goatman money now.
I don't know about that.
I'd have my own plane with its personalized graphics.
Picture of the goat on the side.
With a picture of Craig behind a goat. For some reason, I have to use your picture still.
Yeah. Why am I getting
Because he,
dragged
doesn't-
into that?
because he doesn't do hypotheticals. That's why.
Yeah, I don't do hypotheticals. I like to save my hypotheticals and let other people do it.
All right, George.
giving.
From now on, when he asks either of us a hypothetical, we don't answer until he answers first.
I've tried that before, and he has this like, I don't know, Jedi thing. He turns it back on us again, and we're answering, and he's not.
You just have to stay in your stance.
Okay.
It's impossible. You can't resist. You can't resist. All right, we had fun talking about having sex with goats somehow, and I didn't intend for us to go that direction. I think Craig introduced the goat.
My
in this
daughter-in-law
case.
asked me this week, she said, is the podcast going to be fun this week? I said, yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
can't wait for her to hear this.
Sorry, Kaylee.
And for her to know that her uncle works with Goatman. Hey, thanks to Peter Welpton for producing this. And if you would like to email us, you can do so. It's themuserspod@gmail.com. So that is our email address. And listen to all the episodes and recommend it to a friend because thanks to you, we have now reached 1 million
1 million.
downloads. So now, how long will it take us to get to 2 million? That's the big question.
Who knows?
I'm predicting it'll slow to a crawl after this conversation. So
This may end it.
there you have it. I love you. Bye.
Most definitely. Thank you so much for listening. And don't forget, you'll never miss an episode of the Musers, the podcast, when it drops early on Wednesday, or Cowboys Weekly Edition, your football friends, when it follows on Thursday, if you're subscribed or followed to this on whatever podcast player you're using right now. Thanks again. The Musers, the podcast is a Tired Head production.